Hello! Today we're going to do Pizza Rustica, which is just a wonderful traditional egg and cheese and meat pie. And it's absolutely delicious and it makes you wonder why you only make it once a year. So we're going to start with really good ricotta cheese. You don't want to buy Palio, that's not a good enough brand. You want to get the kind that has like the tin that's got the little holes in it. And this is a 3-pound tin. So we're going to add that to the bowl. So all our cheeses go in first. Okay, so we're going to kind of smooth this out a little bit just to make it easier to stir. This is already measured. This is a half a cup of grated parmeseano reggiano. And this is a half a pound of shredded mozzarella. And we're going to mix that all together. This was actually traditionally made so workers could take a piece out into the fields and it would stay good and they could eat it for lunch at room temperature. So it's really great for anything. Breakfast, lunch, snacks, appetizers. It's just so good. Okay, now your cheeses are well mixed. I'm going to add 6 whole eggs that are slightly beaten. So we're going to slightly beat those just with a fork. The reason why we do that is because then it incorporates into the cheeses much easier when it's pre-beat. Okay. Of course, the eggs help it to rise and get real puffy and nice. Keeps it light. So light. It takes a few minutes to get all of those eggs incorporated into the cheese mixture. Just be patient. You don't need a blender. Just use a spoon and a little elbow grease, and that's more than enough. As you can see, it's starting to incorporate beautifully. And now we're going to add our meats. So what we've got here is a half a pound of soppressata, sweet soppressata, not hot. And what I like to do is buy slices that are about 1/4 of an inch thick, because this way it's much easier to dice into small little pieces. As you can see, they're all diced up. Okay, so we're going to add the diced soppressata, which is a half a pound, and this is a half a pound of prosciutto di Parma. Again, cut 1/4 of an inch thick and diced. So we're going to add the meats. And again, we're just going to stir and incorporate it into the cheese mixture. Looking good already. Okay, we're just about finished. And we're going to add some chopped parsley. You want to chop this really fine because you don't want big chunks of parsley, and you just want to gives it a little color, and of course it adds a little flavor. It's always nice to add a fresh herb. It adds a little freshness to the dish. Right now the recipe calls for salt and pepper to taste, but I found over the years you have a lot of salty meats in this mixture. So you don't want to add a lot of salt because even as it bakes, a lot of the salt really seeps in. So you just want to give it just a little bit of a pinch of salt and some freshly ground black pepper. Not too much because this dish is really on the delicate side. So we're going to mix that in. Okay, so now what we're going to do is this is a half a pound of sweet Italian sausage with fennel that has been pre-cooked, taken out of the casing, and then crumbled. So what I have here is my 9.5 by 11 lasagna pan that I've already lined with a crust, just good old pie crust rolled out nice and thin. We're going to put that in, we're going to line the bottom. Okay. Okay. And we're going to spread it thin so it's all evenly dispersed on the dough. Now we're ready to put the cheese mixture into the crust. So I'm going to use a nice big rubber scraper. Make sure we get all of the ingredients. We're going to scrape that in. Okay. I'm going to spread it out evenly. Okay, now we're ready for the top. So I have to roll this out. Again, this is a Pillsbury pie crust, purchased at ShopRite from the dairy department. You want to roll this out as thin as you can. Because what we're going to do is we're going to do a lattice top, which really looks pretty. Again, like I said before, this is not about the dough, it's about the filling. I'm just cutting the strips. Let me try to make them nice and even. Now we're going to do the lattice. This isn't over. Looks very nice. Okay. So now we're going to roll up the edges. This keeps it all nice in place. Roll it first before you crimp it. I'll show you how to crimp it in a second. Crimping gives it that nice finished look to it. Now you just kind of go over it one more time. You really push down now onto the pie plate or your lasagna pan to really pinch and push down, because when dough hits a warm oven, it starts to shrink away from the glass. So this protects it from shrinking down, getting like one gigantic glob in the middle. So by pushing it down and really reinforcing it to the edge of the dish or the plate, it really keeps it intact. And again, it still gives it a nice finish. Okay, now we're going to do a little bit of an egg wash. That always makes the crusts nice and brown. An egg wash is just one egg that's slightly beaten and just like a half a teaspoon of water. Use a brush, a pastry brush, but because the strips of dough are so narrow, I don't want it to get into the egg mixture. So with clean fingers, so I always do one way first. So we're going to do the short side first. So I'm just kind of lightly brushing the egg wash onto the dough. Just the top part of the dough, not the crimped edges. Now we'll go the other way. Okay, We're ready to put this in the oven. It's at 375 degrees. We're going to bake it for about an hour and 15 minutes until it gets all puffy and golden brown. You always want to put it in the center of an oven and bake. Let's take a look. It's been an hour and 15 minutes. It should be perfect. Oh my gosh, it looks so good. Here it is. Oh, and it smells amazing. Pizza Rustica. This is a big Pizza Rustica. It'll feed a lot of people. So what I like to do is cut it into bite-sized pieces for people and for appetizers. Or you can have a larger piece for lunch with a salad, glass of white wine or red wine. It's really quite extraordinary, and I know you'll enjoy it.